Imagine this scenario. You have just relocated to a vibrant, fast-growing metropolis. You are paying thousands of dollars a month for a gorgeous luxury apartment high above the city skyline. It has floor-to-ceiling windows, imported marble countertops, and a pool that looks like it belongs in a design magazine. You are in the middle of an incredibly important video conference with your global team, or maybe you are just winding down under a hot shower after an exhausting day. Then, suddenly, everything goes dead. The lights flicker off, the Wi-Fi drops, even the water pressure vanishes into complete silence.
It sounds like a scene from a survival movie, but it is actually a surprisingly common reality for many expatriates renting high-end properties. The immediate reaction is usually absolute bewilderment. You look around at this beautiful, expensive space and think, how is this even possible? I paid a premium so that I would never have to deal with basic logistical headaches. Yet, here I am, sitting in the dark, wondering if I should run down 30 flights of stairs just to find a signal.
It is a massive psychological shock. When you pay luxury prices, you are not just purchasing square footage or high-end appliances. You are buying peace of mind. You are paying for the invisible infrastructure that makes life effortless. So, when that infrastructure fails, the frustration is amplified tenfold. The tenant is furious, the landlord is embarrassed and confused, and the property agent is caught in the middle trying to put out the fire. Why does this paradox exist? How can a building look so futuristic on the outside, but suffer from such basic operational breakdowns on the inside?
It really comes down to a fascinating disconnect between physical luxury and operational design. We often assume that because a building is modern, the administrative systems behind it are equally advanced. But in reality, utility disconnections in these high-end spaces usually stem from very simple, overlooked bottlenecks. The first and most common issue is the payment infrastructure itself, combined with a massive language barrier. In many Western countries, automated billing tied to a credit card is the default setting. You set it up once when you move in, and you never think about it again. But in places like Vietnam, utility notifications for electricity, water, and internet are often sent via local SMS or regional messaging apps, entirely in the local language.
That is a recipe for disaster. If you are an expat who does not speak the local language, a text message about an unpaid electricity bill looks exactly like spam. You swipe it away, forget about it, and then 3 days later, the utility provider simply cuts the line. It is not that the tenant does not have the money to pay. They literally had no idea the bill even existed.
Exactly, and the system does not care how much rent you pay. If the automated system registers a non-payment, it triggers a physical shutoff. The second bottleneck is the friction in the communication loop between the landlord and the tenant. Often, the landlord hands over the keys, assumes their job is done, and forgets to forward utility alerts. Or, they receive the digital bills, get busy with their own lives, and forget to remind the tenant or pay on their behalf with the intention of deducting it later. It is a classic breakdown of ownership. Who is actually responsible for monitoring the day-to-day administration of the property?
It is a classic game of telephone where the critical message gets lost. And when you add internet contracts into the mix, it gets even more complicated. Many of these luxury apartments are handed down from owner to owner or tenant to tenant without the underlying contracts ever being updated. The internet connection might still be registered under the name of a landlord's relative who lived there 5 years ago. So, when a technical glitch occurs, the expat tenant calls customer support, hits an immediate language barrier, and even if they find an English speaker, the provider refuses to help because the caller is not the registered account holder. It is an incredibly frustrating loop.
It really is. You end up with a tenant who is highly paid, highly stressed, and completely paralyzed by a simple administrative knot. It highlights a deeper truth about the modern rental market. True luxury is not a physical product, it is a service. A beautiful apartment with disconnected utilities is just a very expensive, very quiet box. To solve this, we have to shift our perspective from merely leasing physical space to managing an ongoing living experience.
That is a profound point. We need to move away from the transaction of renting and move toward the service of hosting. So, If you are a landlord, an agency, or even a tenant looking to avoid this nightmare, how do we actually bridge this gap? What does a modern, high-end solution look like?
The most effective solution is to eliminate the friction entirely by offering an all-in-one included service package. Instead of forcing an expat tenant to navigate multiple local utility portals, landlords and property managers should bundle these services directly into the fixed monthly rent. For variables like electricity and water, the landlord can track the usage through local mobile apps, settle the bills immediately to ensure zero service interruption, and then present a single, consolidated invoice in English to the tenant at the end of the month.
It sounds so simple, yet it is revolutionary in terms of the tenant experience. It shifts the burden of administration from the person least equipped to handle it to the person who can resolve it in 5 minutes. It turns a potential point of friction into a premium, hassle-free service that actually justifies the high rent.
The second step is using technology for auto payments. Utility bills shouldn't be paid manually. Landlords can set up direct debits or auto pay through local banks or digital wallets, ensuring utilities run smoothly without relying on memory or schedules, creating an invisible safety net.
It takes human error completely out of the equation. But what about those unavoidable moments when technology does fail, or when a physical line gets cut during street maintenance? How do we handle the communication breakdown then?
The third pillar is a comprehensive English welcome kit. Tenants receive not just keys, but a clear digital guide explaining utility management, emergency contacts, and basic troubleshooting. Landlords should choose providers with English-speaking support. A pre-vetted list of such services greatly helps during crises.
It really does. It transforms a moment of panic into a structured, manageable situation. When a tenant knows exactly what is happening and who is handling it, their anxiety levels drop instantly. Even if the power goes out, if they receive an immediate, professional update in their own language, they feel cared for. That is what separates a mediocre rental experience from a 5-star luxury experience.
It is all about empathy and anticipation. The best property managers do not just react to problems, they anticipate them. They look at the journey of an expat moving to a new country and ask, where are the points of friction going to be? How can we smooth those out before the tenant even arrives? When you solve those quiet background challenges, you build a level of trust that is incredibly rare and highly valuable.
It is a win-win for everyone involved. The tenant gets the seamless, uninterrupted lifestyle they paid for. The landlord protects their property and secures long-term, high-quality tenants, and the agency builds a reputation for absolute reliability. In a competitive market, that reputation is worth more than any marketing campaign.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, we are moving toward a world where convenience is the ultimate currency. People are willing to pay a premium to reclaim their time and eliminate mental clutter. If we can master the invisible details of property management, we can redefine what high-end living actually means. It is not just about the view outside the window, it is about the peace of mind inside the home.
True luxury is unnoticed when it works, but clear when it fails. Focusing on smooth daily life turns frustrations into a selling point. Next time you see a beautiful apartment, look beyond the design and ask about the systems behind it. Take care and keep asking the right questions.